Welcome to the 2021 Massachusetts Real Estate Exam. This test has 60 questions with explained answers that will help you prepare for the test. Question 1. How much time is given to pass the Massachusetts Salesperson Exam? A. 2 hours. B. 3 hours. C. 4 hours. D. 5 hours. The correct answer is C. 4 hours. Candidates will be given 240 minutes or 4 hours. Total includes state and national portion to complete the examination. Question 2. How many hours of pre-licensing education do you need in Massachusetts? A. 30 hours. B. 40 hours. C. 50 hours. D. 60 hours. The correct answer is B. 40 hours. Massachusetts requires one course to get your real estate license, a 40-hour salesperson pre-licensing course. Question 3. How old do you have to be in Massachusetts to obtain a real estate license? A. 25 years old. B. 21 years old. C. 20 years old. D. 18 years old. The correct answer is D. 18 years old. You must be at least 18 years of age. You must be either a U.S. citizen or a lawfully admitted alien. Meet TREC's qualifications for honesty, trustworthiness, and integrity. Question 4. Lori has agreed to transact real estate business on behalf of Alex with Alex's authority. Lori is A. A licensed salesperson. B. An agent. C. A principal. D. A neutral party. The correct answer is B. An agent. An agent is someone who transacts business or manages the task of another person, example, principal, pursuant to the principal's authority. A principal is the party that the agent represents and acts on behalf of, such as Alex. Lori is not necessarily a licensed salesperson. She can be an agent and hold another position, such as a broker, that requires an agency relationship. Question 5. Ownership of real property for an undetermined length of time is called A. A leasehold estate. B. An estate. C. A non-freehold estate. D. A freehold estate. The correct answer is D. A freehold estate. A freehold estate is ownership of real property for an undetermined length of time. A non-freehold or leasehold estate has a determinable end. An estate is simply an interest in property that provides the right to possess the land. Question 6. What information would be unethical for a listing agent to share with a potential buyer? A. The neighbors next door are really great and have 2 young children about the age of your kids. B. The community association fees are $800 this year, but they will be going up to $1,200 next year. C. The roof might need to be replaced in the next year or 2. D. The seller is very eager for an offer because he lost his job and found a new one in a different state. The correct answer is D. The seller is very eager for an offer because he lost his job and found a new one in a different state. It is inappropriate for a listing agent to tell a prospective buyer personal information about the seller, even if it may encourage a sale. The only exception would be in the case of a seller instructing the agent to do so. Doing so would be a confidentiality breach on the part of the listing agent. The broker should answer all questions related to the property honestly. Question 7. A subdivision has a rule that each home in the neighborhood be at least 2,500 square feet. This is an example of which concept? A. Cooperative ownership. B. Fair housing laws violation. C. Restrictive covenant. D. Homestead laws. The correct answer is C. Restrictive covenant. Restrictive covenants are created by neighborhood developers or associations to ensure that the neighborhood maintains certain standards. Examples include minimum housing size, restrictions on architectural style, or mandated underground sprinkling. Question 8. Which of the following describes a transaction brokerage? A. The broker represents the seller in the transaction. B. The broker represents both the buying and selling parties. C. The broker represents the buyer in the transaction. D. The broker does not represent either party, but provides general information and services to each. The correct answer is D. The broker does not represent either party, but provides general information and services to each. In a transaction brokerage, the broker may help with general information or services, but she is not looking out for the specific interest of either the buying or selling party. Question 9. How much is intangible tax on a real estate purchase mortgage? A. 0.002, B. 0.5, C. 1, D. 5.00. The correct answer is A. 0.002. Intangible tax is 0.002 multiplied by the total mortgage. Intangible tax is paid on new mortgages only. Question 10. An agency contract is being terminated. In which scenario might there be damages owed to one of the parties? A. The owners discharge the agent because she was not acting in their best interest. B. The agency files for bankruptcy. C. The property owner discovers another claim on the title of the house. D. The agent resigns from the contract because he is overloaded with homes to sell. The correct answer is D. The agent resigns from the contract because he is overloaded with homes to sell. Agents and owners may resign from a sale, but they may be liable for damages due to breach of contract. However, if there is a legally sound reason for resignation, such as the owners requesting the agent do something illegal or the agent not acting in the seller's best interest, there is no penalty for resignation. Being overloaded with homes to sell would not be considered a justifiable reason to end the contract, so the agent may owe the sellers some type of damages. Bankruptcy, death, legal incompetence, and multiple claims on the title all automatically terminate the agency relationship by law. Question 11. Foreclosure occurs when a blank seizes and sells a borrower's blank after the borrower has failed to blank the lender. A. Bank, personal property, appreciate. B. Lender, home, alert. C. Lender, collateral, repay. D. Bank, property, notify. The correct answer is C. Lender, collateral, repay. A lender requires collateral for a loan, and if the buyer defaults on the terms of the loan agreement, usually through failure to make payments in a timely manner, the lender can and will seize the collateral, usually the home and/or property. Question 12. A buyer agrees to purchase a home once the sale on her current home is completed. Legally, this is known as blank. A. Contingency. B. Specific performance. C. Option agreement. D. Negotiation. The correct answer is A. Contingency. Contingencies or contingency clauses are a part of the contract of sale that allows a buyer or seller to get out of the contract without penalty in the case of certain specified events. Question 13. Mr. and Mrs. Cox make Mr. and Mrs. Green an offer on their home, but they have not heard back from them on whether or not the offer has been accepted. In the meantime, they have found another home they would like to purchase instead. What is their best option? A. Withdraw their offer with penalty. B. Modify their offer to one they are confident Mr. and Mrs. Green will not accept. C. Withdraw their offer with no penalty. D. Wait for Mr. and Mrs. Green's response. If they accept the offer, pay the withdrawal fee outlined in the contract. The correct answer is C. Withdraw their offer with no penalty. Before an offer has been accepted, the buyers have the right to withdraw their offer with no penalty. However, if the seller has already accepted the offer now becomes a contract that carries with it legal obligations. Question 14. Reversion of title is a feature of what type of interest? A. Fee simple. B. Fee simple condition precedent. C. Fee simple condition subsequent. D. Fee simple determinable. The correct answer is D. Fee simple determinable. You may have been tempted to answer fee simple condition subsequent, which allows the right of re-entry, the grantor's right to go to court to reclaim the property. In fee simple determinable, the title reverts back to the grantor if a certain condition isn't met. Question 15. The lumber for a deck that has not yet been built is A. Personal property, B. A fixture, C. A trade fixture, D. Real estate. The correct answer is A. Personal property. Personal property is tangible, movable, and not permanently attached to real estate. The lumber can become a fixture and therefore real estate if the deck is built. A trade fixture is something used in conjunction with a business. Question 16. The Transfer Disclosure Statement TDS form is required on A. The sale of a 1 to 4 unit residential property, B. The sale of a commercial building, C. All foreclosure sales, D. The sale of vacant land. The correct answer is A. The sale of a 1 to 4 unit residential property. Many disclosure laws target 1 to 4 unit residential properties as a protected class of real estate. As the Transfer Disclosure Statement TDS form is completed by a seller regarding known facts, it is not required in the instance of a foreclosure. Further, commercial property transactions require the disclosure of property defects affecting value, but the statutory TDS form is not required. Question 17. When a purchase agreement states the property is being sold as is, it A. still requires the buyer to receive a Transfer Disclosure Statement TDS noting any material facts which affect the property's value. B. puts the buyer on notice they should beware. C. underscores the fact that nothing is warranted. D. releases the seller of the requirement to deliver a TDS to the buyer or make any disclosures about the condition of the property. The correct answer is A. Still requires the buyer to receive a Transfer Disclosure Statement TDS noting any material facts which affect the property's value. As is a nebulous and frequently misunderstood statement in real estate practice. A Transfer Disclosure Statement, TDS, containing property information including known or suspected property defects affecting value is required to be delivered to a prospective buyer on the sale of a 1 to 4 unit residential property as soon as practicable on the commencement of negotiations. Question 18. An unlawful detainer UD action is instigated by A. a grantor, B. a trustee, C. a lessor, D. a real estate broker. The correct answer is C. a lessor. An unlawful detainer UD action is the court procedure to force a tenant to vacate the rental space they do not have the right to possess. A lessor, landlord, is the aggrieved person who initiates this process against an individual who holds no right to occupy a property, such as a holdover tenant. Question 19. Joan sells her house to her brother Mike on a handshake. This contract is A. valid only in certain states, B. illegal, C. valid because they are related, D. unenforceable. The correct answer is D. unenforceable. In order of a contract of sale to be valid, there must be signatures from both parties. Question 20. A transaction broker, A. provides limited representation to a buyer and seller, B. has fiduciary duties, C. has a principal relationship, D. is a single agent. The correct answer is A. provides limited representation to a buyer and seller. A transaction broker provides limited representation and does not have fiduciary duties to a seller or buyer. Question 21. When inspecting a residence in a hillside subdivision, the salesperson observes cracks in the foundation and notices the doors and windows do not close properly. As a matter of best practice, the salesperson references their observations in the Transfer Disclosure Statement, TDS, and recommends that which of the following be ordered. A. a home warranty policy, B. a special studies report, C. a soil engineer's inspection, D. a termite clearance. The correct answer is C. a soil engineer's inspection. Here's an example of arriving at the correct answer by eliminating the wrong answers. Though the other answer selections moderately relate to a property, the existence of cracks in a hillside subdivision indicates there may be a problem with the soil under the property, which is best diagnosed by a soil engineer. Question 22. Broker Bianca wants to change from a single-agent relationship to a transaction broker. A. She must get written permission from her principal. B. She may not do so. C. She must ask her broker. D. She must seek an attorney. The correct answer is A. She must get written permission from her principal. If Bianca wants to change representation from a single agent to a transaction broker, she must get written permission from her employing principal, buyer or seller. Question 23. Designated sales associates can be assigned in a non-residential transaction if A. FREC appoints them. B. The broker signs off on it. C. The buyer and seller each have assets of $1 million or more. D. A no-broker relationship disclosure is signed. The correct answer is C. The buyer and seller each have assets of $1 million or more. In a non-residential transaction where the buyer and seller each have over $1 million in assets, an employing broker can assign a designated sales associate for a buyer and one for a seller. Question 24. Which is a broker not required to have visible on their office sign? A. Trade name. B. Licensed real estate broker. C. Broker name. D. Address. The correct answer is A. Address. Brokers are required to have their trade name, the words licensed real estate broker, and their full name on their office sign. Question 25. Sean, the tenant, pays the landlord monthly rent and is not responsible for property taxes or insurance. Sean has which type of lease? A. Ground lease. B. Variable lease. C. Net lease. D. Gross lease. The correct answer is D. Gross lease. Gross lease tenant pays rent and landlord pays taxes, insurance, and repairs. Net lease tenant pays rent plus costs such as taxes and insurance. Percentage lease tenant pays rent based on a gross sales earned on leased property. Variable lease tenant pays rent which may increase in future. Ground lease tenant pays rent for land and builds a building on land. Question 26. What is the purpose of underwriting? A. To get a current appraisal on a home's value. B. To determine the risks of making a loan. C. To compare the interest rates of different lenders. D. To determine how much a property is worth. The correct answer is B. To determine the risks of making a loan. Mortgage lenders use a process called underwriting to assess the risk of making a loan. To assess a potential borrower's risk, they look at factors such as salary, credit history, and terms of employment. Question 27. If a borrower puts down 10% on their home loan, what is the loan-to-value ratio? A. 20%. B. 90%. C. 80%. D. 10%. The correct answer is B. 90%. If a loan has a 90% loan-to-value ratio, the borrower is responsible for putting down 10%. Most conventional home loans have a loan-to-value ratio of 80%. Question 28. A homeowner is buying a new home but hasn't sold their old one. Which type of loan would they obtain in the short term and pay back as soon as their old house is sold? A. Swing. B. Home equity. C. Wraparound. D. Sale leaseback. The correct answer is A. Swing. A swing loan, also sometimes referred to as a bridge or gap loan, is a short-term loan that allows borrowers to borrow against their current property in order to buy a new one. They are typically taken out when the borrower wants to buy a bigger home but hasn't sold their current property. Question 29. Which is not one of the 3 C's of underwriting? A. Credit. B. Capacity. C. Collateral. D. Conformity. The correct answer is D. Conformity. Capacity is the cash reserve and debt ratio of the borrower. Collateral includes their down payment and property taxes. Credit includes their credit score and accounts. Conformity is not one of the 3 C's of underwriting. Question 30. Who is the typical reverse mortgage customer? A. All of these. B. Someone with a lot of equity in their home. C. Someone with a lot of liquid capital. D. Someone elderly. The correct answer is A. All of these. In a reverse mortgage, the lender gives money to the borrower using the home itself as collateral. The loan typically does not require repayment until death or until the homeowner moves out. Reverse mortgages are popular options for those with all 3 of these attributes: elderly and who are house rich and cash poor, meaning they have a lot of equity in their home but not a lot of liquid cash. Question 31. The Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990 would affect which of the following? A. A third-floor apartment in a newly constructed apartment complex. B. An existing business with 20 employees. C. A single-family home. D. Multifamily home with 3 units. The correct answer is B. An existing business with 20 employees. The Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA, of 1990 seeks to accommodate those with disabilities by broadening their access to public facilities. Any existing business with 15 or more employees must update their facility to conform with ADA rules and regulations. Almost all new construction, with the exception of single-family homes, must be handicap accessible. While newly constructed ground-floor apartments are subject to ADA regulations, those on higher levels are not. As of 1988, multifamily buildings with 4 or more units must comply with ADA standards. Question 32. A real estate agent declines to show a Muslim couple a house in a neighborhood because she feels the area isn't Muslim-friendly. This is known as what? A. Good faith exception. B. Redlining. C. Steering. D. Blockbusting. The correct answer is C. Steering. Steering is the act of directing or not directing clients to a certain area based on race, religion, sex, familial status, national origin, or handicapped. While the agent may believe she is acting benevolently by directing her buyers to an area they will be comfortable, this practice is a violation of the Federal Fair Housing Act. Question 33. According to HUD standards, which of the following would be an acceptable neighborhood advertisement? A. Traditional living. B. Exclusive neighborhood. C. Muslim-friendly. D. Senior housing. The correct answer is D. Senior housing. Housing intended to serve those 55 and older is acceptable according to HUD standards. Words indicative of race, religion, color, familial status, sex, handicap, or national origin are not acceptable, nor are words that could be considered discriminatory, such as exclusive, restrictive, traditional, or board approved. Question 34. What is the main purpose of Regulation Z? A. To let borrowers know the true cost of credit. B. To lock the borrower into a mortgage once the paperwork is signed. C. To set a minimum interest rate. D. To limit the amount consumers can be charged. The correct answer is A. To let borrowers know the true cost of credit. Regulation Z states the annual percentage rate, or APR, cost of credit, must be disclosed when borrowers apply for credit. Regulation Z, also called the Truth in Lending Act, does not set a minimum or maximum interest rate. Question 35. Which of the following would not be considered a finance charge? A. Interest. B. Seller's points. C. Finder's fees. D. Appraisal fees. The correct answer is B. Seller's points. A finance charge is any charge made by the lender of credit that the borrower is directly or indirectly required to pay. The borrower is not responsible to pay the seller's points, but is responsible for items such as finder's fees, appraisal fees, and interest. Question 36. When real estate agents represent the buyer and not the seller of a piece of property, they are engaging in A. Buyer protection. B. Buyer agency. C. Seller protection. D. Good faith. The correct answer is B. Buyer agency. Agency is the term for representation in a real estate transaction. The principal, in this case the buyer, gives legal authority to an agent to act on the principal's behalf when dealing with a third party. Question 37. If you are representing both the buyer and the seller of a piece of real estate, it's called A. Double representation, B. Dual agency, C. Dual real estate, D. Double agency. The correct answer is B. Dual agency. While dual agency is not legal in all states, in some states a real estate agent is allowed to represent both the buyer and seller of a piece of real estate. Dual agency is sometimes referred to as limited agency. Question 38. Under no circumstances may a real estate broker misrepresent a material fact to a buyer. If they do, the broker faces A. Disciplinary action by the Department of Real Estate, DRE, B. Criminal action, C. Civil action, D. Any of the above. The correct answer is D. Any of the above. A material fact is one that affects the value and desirability of a property. As such, the failure to disclose is a significant breach of the broker's fiduciary duty to their client. If the failure to disclose rises to the level of fraud or deceit, the broker may be subject to civil or criminal penalties depending on the nature of the misconduct. Question 39. Blank is when an individual can be paid for brokering a real estate transaction, yet represent neither the buyer nor the seller. A. Situational brokerage, B. Transactional brokerage, C. Divisional brokerage, D. Individual brokerage. The correct answer is B. Transactional brokerage. Transactional brokerage is only legal in some states, and care must be taken to see what the duties and responsibilities are for the agents brokering a deal if they are not representing either side of the deal. Question 40. Some states have blank that require agents to disclose who they are representing to the buyers. A. Agent identification clauses, B. Agency disclosure laws, C. Agency branding laws, D. Agent identification laws. The correct answer is B. Agency disclosure laws. Agency disclosure laws help clear up confusion over whose interests are being represented in a transaction. These laws are in place to protect buyers from being misled by agents who are actually representing the sellers. Question 41. When a person or entity uses the land of another for a specific purpose, it is known as an A. Easement, B. Literal right, C. Restrictive covenant, D. Lien. The correct answer is A. Easement. The most common types of easements are access, utility, and drainage easements. Question 42. Potential gross income minus vacancy and collection losses is A. Effective gross income, B. Net income, C. Total income, D. Potential income. The correct answer is A. Effective gross income. Effective income is potential gross income minus vacancy and collection losses. To calculate net operating income minus operating expenses from the effective gross income. Question 43. Chris has been driving through Ashley's property for the past 20 years to get to work. Chris has which type of easement? A. Appurtenant, B. Gross, C. Prescription, D. Necessity. The correct answer is C. Prescription. Easement by prescription is created after continuous usage of another's property for 20 years. Question 44. Jim, the sales associate, receives an escrow deposit on Tuesday. When is the deadline to turn it over to his broker? A. Wednesday, B. Thursday, C. Friday, D. Saturday. The correct answer is A. Wednesday. Jim must turn the escrow deposit over to his broker by the end of the next business day of receiving it, Wednesday. Question 45. Tenancy by the entireties convey title at the same time and must be A. Husband and wife. B. Unequal percentage. C. Tenants in common. D. Undivided interest. The correct answer is A. Husband and wife. Tenancy by the entireties is a tenancy between husband and wife, and the right of survivorship must exist. Question 46. Which of the following conditions would not cause a building to be declared uninhabitable? A. Dampness in the habitable rooms. B. Electrical wiring that is safe and working properly but does not comply with present building codes. C. There is no heating in the entire property. D. A broken window at the back of the house. The correct answer is B. Electrical wiring that is safe and working properly but does not comply with present building code. This question is phrased in the negative. Answer selections A, C, and D render the rental property uninhabitable. The electrical wiring, a significantly longer answer and more detailed answer selection, does not trigger the inhabitable defense since it is safe and functional, even though it does not meet current building codes. Question 47. Testate is when a person prepared a will before death, and intestate is when a person dies without a will prepared. A. True. B. False. The correct answer is A. True. If a person prepares a will and then dies, this is known as testate. If the person dies without a will, this is known as intestate. Question 48. Which of these would determine if there is encroachment on a property? A. Survey. B. Easement. C. Ejectment. D. Appraisal. The correct answer is A. Survey. A survey determines if one's building or property encroaches, trespasses on another's. A survey is typically part of a real estate contract. Question 49. What is meant by riparian rights? A. The former property owner still lives at the property, but it has officially been sold. B. There is no legal owner to the land, so the property becomes possession of the government. C. The property owner has property that borders a moving body of water. D. The property was given to the current owner by a deceased family member. The correct answer is C. The property owner has property that borders a moving body of water. If a property owner has riparian rights, their property borders a moving body of water such as a river or stream. Typically, a property owner with riparian rights cannot meddle with the natural flow of the water touching their property. Question 50. Which document outlines the environmental effects that are caused by new development? A. Environmental Development Report. B. Environmental Impact Report. C. Environmental Project Report. D. Environmental Risk Report. The correct answer is B. Environmental Impact Report. The Environmental Impact Report statement describes the likely environmental effects a new development will have. The document is sometimes required by local governmental agencies before new construction is started. Question 51. What is the objective of most appraisals? A. Determining investment value of a property. B. Determining insurance value of a property. C. Determining market value of a property. D. Determining loan value of a property. The correct answer is C. Determining market value of a property. Although an appraiser may be used to evaluate any of these, they typically are sought to determine the market value of a property. Question 52. Market value is different from market price in that market price A. is taxable and market value is not. B. is a fact that has actually occurred. C. is not an actual value, but just an idea. D. is always 10% below market value. The correct answer is B. is a fact that has actually occurred. Market value is just an estimate of what a property should sell for in the current market. Market price is what it did sell for. The other answer choices are not true. Question 53. The sales comparison approach to valuation is directly related to A. Market investment return rates. B. All pending, canceled, and short sale listings. C. The quality and amount of sales data available. D. The principle of anticipation. The correct answer is C. The quality and amount of sales data available. The sales comparison, sometimes still referred to as market approach to valuation, involves an appraiser locating similar properties to the property being appraised. When there are more homes on the market, it is easier for the appraiser to find similar properties and to make valuation adjustments as appropriate. Question 54. Which of the following is not a typical obligation of the mortgagor? A. Maintain the property. B. Keep a hazard insurance policy in force. C. Get permission for alterations. D. Advise the mortgagee of a change in the escrow account balance. The correct answer is D. Advise the mortgagee of a change in the escrow account balance. This question requires you to know who the mortgagor, borrower, and mortgagee, lender, are. The first three answers relate to the borrower's duties. The mortgagee does the advising about the escrow account balance. The borrower contributes money to the escrow account only according to the lender's accounting of what it needs. Question 55. Interest paid on the accrued interest as well as the principal is called A. Compensating interest. B. Simple interest. C. Exponential interest. D. Compound interest. The correct answer is D. Compound interest. While simple interest is paid only to the principal owed, when accrued interest is added in or included, the interest is compounding. Question 56. Of these individuals, who can perform an appraisal? A. All of these. B. Real estate broker. C. Real estate agent. D. Real estate appraiser. The correct answer is D. Real estate appraiser. A real estate agent or broker cannot prepare an official property appraisal. Instead, they can prepare a comparative market analysis, CMA, or broker's opinion of value, BOV. Question 57. How is land different than other property assets? A. Its value is not tied to nearby housing values. B. It cannot decline in value. C. It retains its value better than other property assets. D. It is fixed and immobile. The correct answer is D. It is fixed and immobile. Land is the only property asset that is fixed and immobile. Like other properties, land can decrease or increase in value as surroundings become more or less desirable, even though it cannot depreciate in an accounting sense. The other options are all not true or not unique to land. Question 58. You may need to know the value of the house you inherited, A. For income tax purposes, B. For real valuation purposes, C. For appraisal tax purposes, D. For estate tax purposes. The correct answer is D. For estate tax purposes. Estate taxes are based on the appraisal of a particular piece of property. Question 59. An appraisal is A. An exact value of a particular piece of property. B. An estimated value of a particular piece of property. C. The investment value of a particular piece of property. D. A predetermined value of a particular piece of property. The correct answer is B. An estimated value of a particular piece of property. Appraisers do use a variety of mathematical techniques in their work, but the act of arriving at the value of a particular piece of property is not precise. Question 60. When estimating the value for a particular piece of property, an appraiser will not investigate A. Environmental factors, B. Social factors, C. Physical factors, D. Future factors. The correct answer is D. Future factors. An appraiser will investigate economic, environmental, physical, and social factors when estimating the value for a particular piece of property. Don't forget to share this video with your friends and subscribe for more practice tests.